What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, Show Me the Money Club, live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Actually, we're just going to get right into it. So, Sergio, I hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
Let's get right into the rundown of what we're going to be talking about. So, we have special guest Jeremy Bird. He is the Executive Vice President at Lyft, in charge of the driver experience, coming on in just a couple moments to talk about some of the changes that was just announced earlier today. Hopefully, you watched Sergio's video. If you didn't, make sure you check it out. It is going to be in the description for checking out that video, so you can take a look at that, see what the new changes and updates are when it comes to some of the changes behind driver pay. But of course, we're going to be talking about that right now with Jeremy, and we're going to be figuring out everything there. Then we're also going to be breaking down the Uber's TOS breakdown, how to opt out on that, as well as they had their own little announcement earlier in London, the Go Get Zero 2024. So we're going to brush through that a little bit. And then also we're going to be talking about our gig companies using Prop 22 clones over the country to float billions for 2 weeks. Research there. So we got a little bit of a show for you coming up. It's going to be good. And with that being said, let's get right into it. We have our special guest, Jeremy Bird. Again, he is the executive VP in charge of the driver experience. So we are thankful for him to come on. And with that being said, Jeremy, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Sergio. Thanks for having me.
Jeremy, welcome to Show Me the Money.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you guys today and hopefully many times in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for showing up. Really, it's an important day for drivers and for Lyft as well. Obviously, we put out the video. It's doing really well. People are, some are liking the changes, some are not, but that's not why you're here specifically. But so unlike Lyft's DAC, right? What is that called? Driver Advisory Council. You came to the right place, right? This is the house that the drivers built, and I can assure you will get good information. So we're going to jump right into the changes, obviously, right? That was announced today, and I was under embargo. I kept my mouth shut like I promised. But then most of these things have been floating around or being piloted right around the country, and fortunately, I have eyes and ears everywhere. And then when they send me the screenshots, I go, oh, look at this. I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, well, this is good. That's bad. But I want to start with your Reuters article or interview that you did for Reuters. So the headline was Lyft unveils improved, what does it say? Pay measures to attract more drivers, right? Is Lyft having issues with keeping drivers around? Is that what's happening? Or is that a misleading headline?
Well, we're always that's not exactly. We didn't write the headline, but I mean we're doing the changes that you see today, right? Which are really around increased transparency and listening to driver pain points that we've heard both from you individually. I know you talked to me about some of these things in the last several months, as well as drivers, whether it's at different roundtables, on listening to them online, having conversations, getting in cars, and driving ourselves. These changes are really to address some of those pain points. So it's always about to attract more drivers. We want more folks to come to the platform. But, as you've said to me many times, Sergio, it's also about making the experience for those who are on the platform better and wanting them to come back and have a better experience on the platform every time they come.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And, I know you have a history of politics, right? You ran President Obama's South Carolina campaign, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And you helped them out with that, obviously. And so you do have a soft spot for the hard, working men and women drivers of Lyft, I'm pretty sure, right? So I'm gonna, just talk a little bit about these changes, not changes, but by the way, our show is called Show Me the Money. So you're here to show us the money. Is that true? Because if it is,
that's what I'm here for.
Okay, let's get right into it. So, the first thing that I want to actually hit upon is something that, I don't know how much of this we should take credit as Show Me the Money, because I've been talking to Lyft about this for a year now, especially with upfront fares, trips going longer and drivers just working for free, right? And so let's talk a couple of minutes about that. So Lyft introduced something that drivers will get paid more if a trip goes longer in duration. So, give us your input about that.
Yeah. And you said this when you were mentioning, me and sort of my role here. I come from a working class background. I grew up in a trailer park. When I think about the 1.3 million folks who have driven on the platform in the last year, it's not a number, right? These are people who are mothers and fathers, they're entrepreneurs, they're caregivers. They're coming for many reasons, right? Some are coming, to make this is their primary source of income. Others are coming because their 29-hour-a-week job in the grocery store isn't making ends meet for them. Some are coming because they want to make enough money to have the excellent wedding that they want to have. They want to send their kids somewhere. They want to pay for soccer. So it is about listening. And so all the changes you're talking about is about listening to you. It's about listening to drivers every time I get in the Lyft. It's about listening to drivers at roundtables. It's about listening to drivers in all the various ways, customer care, as people are calling in. And a lot of those pain points, as you mentioned, and the name of your show, are about earnings, right? And really about fair and transparent earnings. So earlier this year, we rolled out the 70% guarantee on the earnings commitment as a response to what we were hearing from drivers. And this is sort of, you can imagine this is just being an extension of that. And one of the things that you told me, I think about a year ago, and that we heard from drivers over and over again, is when the upfront fare changes, when there was traffic that we didn't expect, or you had to go out of the way for some reason, the stuck in traffic pay or the 5-minute delay pay is a response to that specifically, and to make sure that every ride is worth the effort.
Yeah, I think that's long overdue. But then I know how things, the wheels don't turn fast as drivers like, obviously. But I think that's a good change. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, as far as earnings are concerned, on nature hike trips. We call it nature hike because, we take an 80-mile trip for 40 cents a mile, and I'm going like, why would anybody even accept that? Because look, when upfront fare showed up, with all honesty, right, it was something called rebalancing. And, short trips are going to pay a little bit more, long trips are going to pay less, but then it happened to be a lot less. So, and then, these trips are being rejected by the dozens, thousands, probably. Well, from people who watch us, probably, because we tell them, decline and recline. So what's the change there? I mean, it's a little bit of vague, right? I wrote the article too, one on our newsletter.
Oh, I saw
it.
It
Says we're going to get paid more. I'm like, so explain us like how, again, we're up to the whims of the algorithm. So I'm not sure, how much more we're going to get paid for nature hikes, but how's that going to work out?
Yeah, so we call that out of your way pay or destination aware. So when you're going to a location where either regulatorily you can't pick up a rider where you're going, or we know that it's low density, like to your point around a nature hike, or you're going somewhere where there's not a lot of density there, we're adjusting the pay on the front end to make that ride more attractive. And it's exactly what you said, which is, unlike most places, most companies in the country, when we put out that upfront fare, like, you have the choice, right? You have the choice whether or not to accept that ride, and we're competing against, other rides you can accept on other platforms or other things that you can do. So we need to make that as attractive as possible and make sure we're factoring in where you're going to drop off that passenger matters. If you're going somewhere busy, you're going to get a ride back. Our job is to make sure when you drop that person off, or before you drop them off, you're getting a ride so you can put it in the queue and get going. But when you're going somewhere, it's going to be a lot harder to back. We need to adjust that pay on the front end.
Yeah, hopefully it does get adjusted, because I'm pretty sure starting tomorrow, I'll start getting screenshots from all over the country. Because, oh, they're not paying more. I'm like, well, we got to have a comparison. So, if a couple of months,
look forward to the conversation with you about that, for sure.
Yeah, that definitely, we will have conversations about that. So, while we're at the earnings, there's one more thing that's, that is concerning earnings, is that something new called preferred driver, right? So preferred drivers, supposedly, we're going to get 5% more. And if we do get over certain thresholds, which I think they're pretty, the bar is set pretty low. I mean, 25% acceptance rate, 12%, I think, cancellation rate.
Yep.
Driving score of 60% and 3 safety flags or less, people will get more trips. I get that. But then 5%, I asked this to the other people that I talked to, and I said, 5% over what? Look, upfront algo is set up to shave. I mean, look, we've proven that a million times. It's not the point. But 5% over what, Jeremy? Like, what are we getting 5% over?
Yeah,
there's no rate card.
Yeah, so you mentioned preferred. Well, I think the important thing there is, like you said earlier, these are not thresholds that are set incredibly high, but they are set for 25% in terms of the acceptance rate, and 12% of the cancellation rate. Is every time that we've got to make sure we're giving you the offer that's worth your while, which is what a lot of these changes are around. And then we got to make sure for those folks who aren't accepting for some reason or the other at a threshold that's below 25%, we want to make sure that we're going to prioritize those drivers that are providing that service to riders, right? Because every time we let something lapse, it's a longer time that a rider has to wait. And all this is about more riders, right? If there are more riders coming to our platform, more riders coming to rideshare in general, you're going to do better as a driver, right? We'll do better, you'll do better. We all benefit when there are more riders coming, you're more utilized, and you get to even be, we can be on the same side in terms of just increasing that. So preferred driver says, for those folks who are hitting those thresholds, we're going to give a boost and you'll get that 5% increase in certain regions. And that's just over what we would otherwise have set in the area.
Yeah, I mean, that remains to be seen because, with the upfront algorithm, what happens is that, look, all the bonuses and the turbo and not the ride challenges, obviously. I haven't seen one in like 8 months now, but it's okay. All the turbo and then the bonus, meaning surge, right? What happens is that when the surge is high, upfront fare, the base fare getting lowered by the algo. Look, both companies do this. We talked about this. Is there anything else in this package that you want us to hit upon? Because seriously, I mean, like we were talking in the green room, right? I mean, you're the face of the driver experience. Driver experience entails 4 things, right? When David was on about over a year ago, and he really listened, and a lot of things have changed actually, which I appreciate. So for this whole package, Jeremy, I'm taking the credit.
Good.
Yeah, well, no, but you know what it is though? So David left us at the altar, which is fine. David, next time I see you. But the point I'm trying to make, you're the head of this. How long you been with Lyft, by the way?
I've been with Lyft for 5 years, but I've been the head of the driver experience for like the last 6 or 7 months. I was on our policy team before.
Okay, so I've been with Lyft for 7.5 years. So I have about 7 years at head start on you. But here's the thing. I talked to David about 4 things that are on our community's mind. Okay, number 1 is earnings, always earnings. Yep. So who doesn't want to make more money? Number 2 is unjust deactivations. Number 3 is driver safety, and number 4 is black hole support, we call it. So I would really like right here and now would like to get your word that maybe every couple of months you show up, because I know you're busy. You have 30 minutes to do this, and in 30 minutes to discuss all these things just is really just not enough time. So I was thinking maybe every couple of months, while you gain more experience on the job, you come back and we discuss these individual issues, as opposed to just lump sum everything and then a year later we'll come back and talk about it again. So you said yes. I'll take your word for it that when there are developments.
Yeah, I'll say it, not just in the green room, but on your show where everybody can see. I'm happy to come back. I think that's a great idea. I think you're right. There's 30 minutes is not enough time. We're going to start with some today, but I know we'll have a lot more to talk about. Can I say though, to your other question there at the beginning was like, what else is in the role that I do want to talk about? Because it was sort of
sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, earnings, like you mentioned, is one of the most important things. There's a couple other things in there though that I think are really important as we think about earnings, transparency. And it's relatively small, but I think it matters a lot. And you mentioned it in your write-up earlier today. It's the transparency that we're showing on each ride, so that you don't have to do the math in your head. And we heard from many drivers, trying to do the math on the short ride versus long ride and how much you're making per hour. So we're adding that into the accept screen where you can see the value of the ride, like how much you're going to make when you're in that ride per hour. And so there's some other, I think, transparency pieces of this that matter. The other piece I wanted to talk about was the economic impact, economic mobility pieces of it. So there's a bunch in here around just thinking about, and I mentioned earlier, I know you care a lot about the holistic lives that drivers are living, right? Like the different reasons that they're on the platform. One of the things we want to make sure we're doing is providing economic mobility for folks who are coming on the platform. So there's a couple of things in this sort of package of rollouts I think are important. One is we partnered up with Merit America, which is a project that's providing drivers with access to education for tech-enabled jobs. We think that's hugely important to provide that opportunity. And rideshare is a great place to get that, because you can work your schedule around the classes in such a way that we've seen many people go on and do great things in their careers by doing this on their own and now providing it through the platform. There's also Lyft Direct 2.0, which is working on ways in which we can provide financial opportunity and services for folks to be able to make more money as they're putting aside money, and a bunch of different things. Because we're thinking about what I'm thinking about with driver pay overall is, yes, we got to do all the things we talked about with transparency and earnings fairness. We also have to figure out a way both to reduce costs, right? And you've talked about this. You've got a lot of partnerships that you've talked about in other ways that we can use the scale of the platform to allow folks to spend less, whether that's on some of the things we're doing through the Elite program for cashback and things like that. So a lot of this is just thinking about the overall economic situation of drivers and what we can do to hopefully provide a better opportunity for folks. So those other parts of the platform. And again, I'm happy to come talk about any of those at length in the future.
Well, I mean, now that people have seen you, so we want to see your pretty face here. I mean, as often as possible, because look, we are drivers advocates, but seriously, I mean, I put myself in Lyft shoes, and then I wish Lyft and execs and the other TNC put themselves in our shoes, right? So I know, as I said, you have a career in politics before you join Lyft, but there is something that happens every year, right? The president does a State of the Union. Okay. So what do you think the State of the Union is between rideshare companies and their drivers at the moment? What do you think? Where do you think we are?
Yeah, what a great question. You mentioned it a little bit with David coming on, earlier. I do think he has said over and over again since he came on as CEO of Lyft that if we are customer obsessed, it will drive profitable growth and create a more successful Lyft and a more successful experience for drivers on the platform. And I think we really have seen tremendous change. I don't think that's a motto. I don't think it's a slogan. I see it every day in different meetings that I have with him and other executives here. And really just the amazing people that I work with in this building. There is a real passion for increasing and being better and doing everything we can to have the driver experience be something that, if you are making more on our platform and you're having a great experience, you're going to come back. You're going to drive more. If you drive more riders are going to have faster ETAs. We're going to have more riders. It's going to be better for Lyft. It's better. It's the right thing to do. And it's also going to be better for us. And I think David really believes in that, right? And I think I've seen a lot of changes and we've got a lot of work to do. So I'd say, we're on the right path, but, and you'll be the first to tell us this, we still have a lot of work to do. We've got improvements we need to make every single day. We've got to increase the number of riders that are coming to the platform to increase your utilization. We've got to improve our customer service. And we've got to do a lot of things that we'll keep listening. And if we keep listening, we make those changes, we can start to get people to really understand that together we can be on the same side of the table and we can push forward for your success and ours.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be on the same side of the table at some point. But, my thought on the State of the Union is, from close to 300,000 members that we have on this channel, the dissatisfaction level, I've been around for 7.5 years, 8 years on Uber, 7.5 on Lyft. I have never seen these many complaints. And since we're talking about earnings, I actually, right before the show, I got a text from Lyft saying, "Hey, Serge, 98% of your riders rated you 5 stars. Why don't you get out and drive?" Right? Then I thought, okay, that's awesome, because I am the face of Lyft for those 15 minutes that I'm in the car with the rider. Nobody knows you. Nobody knows David. Nobody knows anybody. They just know Lyft. They know me. So if I'm in a good mood, right, then I'm going to service the Lyft passenger better. So I'm not going to take it out on them because Lyft did something screwy, right? Well, talking about, so today let's focus a little bit, whatever time we have remaining, on a couple of things. One is earnings, obviously. So I've been on the platform for 7.5 years. And I've seen all the changes, obviously. I've seen the platforms grow, the marketplace grow, the scale obviously came into play. And but what I've not seen is, you live in San Francisco, I live in LA, probably two of the most expensive cities on the planet. And there are a lot of drivers in LA and San Francisco, obviously. Do you think driver earnings have kept pace with inflation that they're experiencing? Forget about, we can talk about government gaslighting drivers, about maintenance expenses, insurance expenses, and all these things that has gone through the roof due to inflation that everybody's experiencing, but their rents and their, everything else that they have to spend money on. Do you think Lyft drivers' earnings have kept pace with inflation over the last 3 years, 4 years?
I think the median, the median earnings for drivers has kept pace since 2019. However, I think your point is totally accurate, which is our job is to figure out how do we continue to increase that. And the way we have to continue to increase that is to fight on multiple fronts. And these are not small things. I know you you mentioned insurance, but this is the biggest one. This is the biggest cost driver. It doesn't benefit drivers, it doesn't benefit Lyft, and it doesn't benefit riders. Because before you get in the car in LA, we're already spending a ton of money on unnecessary insurance costs, completely unnecessary insurance costs. And so and this is what I fought for before I came over to the driver team on the policy side, is to reduce those costs. If we reduce those costs, more money goes into your pocket. It will be better for Lyft overall. It'll be better for riders too. It's one of the biggest challenges that we face, is to reduce those, because those have been growing significantly higher than inflation over the last 3 years. And we have to bring those down. We're doing everything we possibly can to bring those down. Because again, if we bring those down, you can make more money, you'll drive more with Lyft. It'll be better for Lyft, it'll be better for rideshare overall, and it'll be better for riders because they'll have more drivers on the platform and they'll get better service level.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm going to, agree to disagree on one thing. I don't think since 2019, my earnings on the Lyft platform have gone up 40%, because that's what the government's at least saying, that maintenance costs, insurance costs, which, as we know, we're independent contractors, we're supposedly running our small business, and our car is our tool that we take to work. I don't think it's up 40%, Jeremy. So the reason I'm saying that is because I drive. And when I do drive, the reason, by the way, Lyft is sending me those messages, because I haven't driven for Lyft for 6 months now. The reason for that is I cannot drive for base rates, do $3 trips, and put how many of those I can put together, right, in 2024 to pick up a human, drive a mile, pick up a human, get $3 out of it. I can't even buy a pack of gum with that these days. So I don't think driver earnings are up 40%. On top of everything else, as we know, incentives have been cut due to macroeconomic conditions. Look, more people, like you said, 1.3 million people are driving on the platform. And that's not because it's so lucrative, Jeremy. It's because macroeconomic conditions and barriers to entry is very low, and then people just get in their car and drive, make a couple $100 here and there. But I wanted to show you a couple of screenshots, okay? This is one of my trips that I did. This is 2024. This is in my neighborhood. It's about 8-minute trip, pick up and drop off. It's $3.20. I've seen as low as $2.62, which was exactly the same when I first joined the Lyft platform in 2017. $2.62. Now, those days, I did all of these, all the 262s, because you do 100 trips, get another, $800. But those subsidized fantasy days are over for the drivers. So I cannot, look at a $3.20 trip and run a profitable business if I'm trying to run a profitable business. Okay. There's another one. This is from Houston. $2.29 to drive somewhere half a mile, pick up a human, put him in the car, and drive somewhere another eighth of a mile for $2.29. I mean, by looking at these things, I have millions of screenshots. Literally, my hard disk is full. I don't think I can, I don't think I'm going to agree with you that the driver earnings are up since 2019, keeping pace with inflation. And the last one I'm going to show you is this one. This is from Orange County. I got this from a driver yesterday. This is from Lyft going to a driver. Drivers in Orange County earned $21 an hour on average last month, including tips and bonuses. Take the expenses out of $5-6 an hour. We're at 15. I mean, I might as well go flip burgers. So the earnings are not keeping pace with inflation, Jeremy.
So Sergio, I think we got a lot to unpack there. I think you said a couple of things that I absolutely agree with, and it's how I see things, and I think most drivers see them. And then obviously we can talk about either the individual rides there, or the overall points that you're making. But I agree first, and this is why I love the platform, and I think why a lot of people were drawn to it, including many of the conversations I've had with you, is it is your own small business. It really is your own small business, and it provides a tremendous amount of flexibility and independence that almost nowhere else in the world provides. The ability to start and stop when you want, the ability to work at two places at the exact same time. You can't do that if you're a barista at Starbucks. You can't run over to Pete's when you don't like what you're making and do it over there. You can't decide to go do it, and that's the beauty of the platform, right? And that's why you're able to say no to that $2 ride if you didn't want it, or the $3 ride if you didn't want it. Yeah, and you've told me this before. So there's other screenshots I could show you that are obviously completely different than that, and I do think
absolutely. No, I'm not telling you. I agree. I agree, but I think even on a 2024, a minimum fare trip should not be $3, $2. It should be maybe $5. And we have talked about this before. Maybe rideshare is such a horrible business that you guys cannot charge more because the other Darth Vader over there, is competing with you guys. And I understand all the intricacies of this stuff. Maybe you guys should charge more in order to pay the driver more. I mean,
but so Sergio, on that front, because as somebody that I really care about this, I do really care about this. Here's the balance you have, right? You have two customers on the platform. You have a rider and you have a driver, and we're the marketplace is trying to set the right price to pay you fairly and to get the most riders. And so it is you need that equilibrium, right? Because let's take Seattle for an example, where regulations has very high pay in Seattle. The problem in Seattle is drivers are making more per trip, but there are way fewer rides because we've priced out low-income people and a lot of moderate income people from being riders on the platform. So drivers overall are not making more money in Seattle because it's gone too far one way, right? And so what you need is we need fair pay, but you also need to make sure that that the rider can afford it, because you need more rides in order for you to be better utilized and for drivers to ultimately make more money. It's finding that balance in between to pay fairly, but also to charge only enough. And the way that we have to do that together is we also have to figure out ways to get the cost down, insurance being one of the biggest ones, so that we can balance both of those out. But that's the challenge of the marketplace, always, not an excuse or anything, but that's just saying about where you need to, yes, pay more and push for more, but also make sure we get it in the right place that enough riders can afford it, that they'll make sure the platform is healthy and that there's enough rides constantly.
Absolutely. I mean, look, TNCs have done something wonderful. I mean, they put $40 billion on fire to create a marketplace that functions, right? But on one side of, this is a two-sided marketplace, and you have the rider and you have the driver, right? You have to create enough supply to get the pickup ETAs down. I understand the business better than anybody probably, but my issue with it is that we're in 2024. My cost of living has gone skyrocketed. It really has. As a driver, you're right. And I don't think my earnings have kept pace, if not have declined with upfront fares. And, I know you have a couple of more minutes in that half hour. I'm going to, discuss something about earnings, and then we'll end it there with your promise that you're going to show up and we're going to talk about unjust deactivations for an episode. And we're going to talk about, safety of drivers, which we've been talking about that issue. And support, which, I can mention her, Amina, I've been working with her and I think she's doing good stuff, but I don't think it's anywhere near enough. So one of our viewers, by the way, we have an amazing viewership here, right? So we literally have like PhD students, we have master's degree guys that are driving. They love doing what they're doing. So one of them sent me this, right? So we have also a tradition on our show. I say hocus pocus a lot. So for whoever's not driving, when I say hocus pocus, we all take shots. So, so he sent me this, and then I know this may be a little hard to read, but this is a driver from LA, right? And I know how expensive California insurance rates have been, and I promised him I'll show you this, and then I will send you these screenshots, by the way, so your team can analyze it. So the purple line up there, the purple chart, is the so-called estimated external expenses. This, by the way, starts January 1 of 2024, and it runs to the last week, actually. So there is a direct, so when the 70-30 guarantee showed up, I said hocus pocus and people at Lyft did not like it. It's because I feel like there's a direct correlation between the external expenses line item and then the Lyft take rate. Now, I don't care how much Lyft makes, but when external expenses, non-transparent fashion, can move up and down. And as we can see, the trend is not your friend here. External expenses are going through the roof, right? And Lyft says most of it is commercial insurance. Our community and myself, we're not buying that. And then, so conversely, if you look at the green chart is Lyft's take rate on this specific driver, right? You have the data obviously for Lyft. But what do you say about this? Is this 70-30 thing working for you guys? Are drivers happy about this and seeing those external expenses going absolutely bonkers?
It's really hard to see the chart, so I won't try to answer all of it. But I do think if I look at the external expenses, it's almost all insurance. It's almost all insurance. And
$1.47 a mile. It's up to $1.47 a mile.
Probably. In this is LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, in LA, every ride is between $7 and $10 in insurance costs. And this comes from a couple factors. It's not the insurance of the driver. We in the California, the way the law is written is that we are paying, and therefore it's negative for drivers for not only like general commercial insurance, but anybody else on the road who doesn't have insurance or is underinsured. We have to also insure that. California is one of the most expensive places in the country. You see this in New Jersey and other places, and that's goes up. In our case, almost every October. So I don't know if that line is like, when that is, but in terms of the increase. So I will say, I've done a bunch of surveys of thousands of drivers on the earnings commitment, and we find it to be generally popular because we're making the commitment and we show it up. We show it. Like you say, show me the money. It's not just that we said we're going to do it. It said if we're below the 70%, we're going to pay you for it, which we have. And so I think it's not just we're committed to this. We say we want to do something. It's that we said we're going to actually commit to it and make it happen. And again, the average is well over 80, close to 90% in terms of the driver take after those expenses. But we're saying we'll never go. The driver will never take home less than 70. And we've shown folks the money on that. We need to work together on this. Get the external fees, especially insurance, down. But overall, I think it's been a commitment that, like you said earlier, David made, and wasn't something that was easy to do in a low margin business, but something we're committed to because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to end up on negative, tangent here, but the 70-30 thing after external expenses. So we're simple people here, Jeremy. Some of us are more educated than others, but when a rider pays $100 for a trip and the driver receives 50, the driver looks at it as Lyft took 50%. Because driver has expenses as well, right? I mean, we're not bitching and moaning to Lyft saying that my insurance has gone up. Literally, personally speaking, my personal insurance with State Farm has gone up 48% this year so far. I have to pay for that. I have to pay for maintenance. I have to pay for all those. So Lyft's kind of complaining, saying, yeah, our insurance rates are going up after external expenses, which we just kind of all over the place, really. There's no rhyme or reason for what it is. Trip to trip, they're changing. I think there's more work to be done as far as that 70-30 transparency thing is concerned. So before you go, I'm going to announce something. So for people, I don't know how many of you are here, 500-600 of you, whoever is in LA, I'm going to be there. Jeremy's going to be there. There's going to be a taco truck there between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. October 23rd. We'll mention this a couple times going forward. We'll do a short video. Please come down, meet us. Well, you guys know me anyway, but then meet Jeremy. He's a super nice guy. He's going to be at LAX. We're going to be at LAX. We're going to eat some tacos and we're going to talk some shop and meet a whole bunch of you, hopefully. But so I'll give you the floor, Jeremy, in closing. So you promised you will come back. We'll discuss other issues. Again, my hat's off to you to just coming on and talking to us. Much appreciated. So floor is yours.
I'll say, I love being on the show. I'm happy to come back. And more importantly, I want to see drivers, out at the LA event. We're going to be doing events across the country. We're only going to make the platform better if we're listening, and if we're listening at scale, right? We want to hear what people are experiencing, some things that people are experiencing in different states in different ways. But our goal is to, I've said this a couple of times on the show, but if drivers who are listening and drivers who are on the platform are successful, you mentioned it, they're going to have better experience for the rider. So they're going to be happier. It's going to be a better experience, and they're going to spend more time driving, which is going to make the experience for riders on the platform better, and it's going to make Lyft better. So excited to talk to you more, and talk to your listeners more at every chance I can.
Well, thank you. Much appreciated. Like, unlike the other company says, you guys are a little bit more human. You actually a couple times, during the earnings call, David refers to the drivers as drivers, not earners, not other things, that's like, by the way, without drivers, there is no gig economy. So I'm sure you know that, but I'm going to let you go. I appreciate it. Bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for showing up, and we will see you shortly.
Thanks, Sergio. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Take care.
All right. So that was Jeremy Bird, again, Executive VP of Driver Experience from Lyft.
Okay, I'm going to take a break now. My blood pressure is high.
Well, I just put a poll out saying what should drivers be paid as a minimum fare on trips when you guys are talking about that. So that is up on the channel right now. So after the show is over, go vote in that and let us know what your thoughts are when it comes to the minimum fare and what you think it should be at currently instead of $2.62 or $3, whatever it might be in your area, but what it should be now
All
that
right.
it's 2024 and everything going on. So,
So yeah,
um,
I mean, look, the guy did a good job, right? I mean, he was taking a couple of gulps, but hey, whatever it is, it is. So in the chat, how about you guys grade me? Did I do good? What do you guys give me? A through F. Give me a grade. Let's see your grades. Not that I give a shit, but but because this is going to be etched in on the internet files forever now. So hey, look, I speak to
don't
Jeremy
feed
quite
his
a bit
ego
actually.
either. His ego is big enough already.
Yeah, I speak to Jeremy quite a bit. I think he's a super really nice guy, and he really cares because I can read people. I play quite a bit of poker. I can tell he's honest about it. It's very difficult what they're trying to do. They're trying to compete with Darth Vader, who just slaps them around all the time. They compete on fares, they compete on drivers, and I do put myself in their shoes, but I also put myself in your shoes, and because I drive, right? And I wish they drove more. Unlike, I tweeted David Risher's thing yesterday. He did like 3 trips in Napa. I go like, why don't you go drive in Oakland, buddy? Let's see how that works out for you. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, things actually have changed at Lyft, seriously, right? I mean, none of these things. Look, I've been talking to their group for months about this, okay? And they move slowly, but hey, they're doing it, and good things are coming around. Yeah, so come to LAX October
I think
23rd.
I think the way to look at it is you're kind of beating around the not beating around the bush, but like I think the easiest way is we look at the algorithm and we say, well, we can teach the algorithm if you don't take these short, low paying offers and you wait until the good trips come around. The problem is we have drivers who are taking all of these crappy ass rides and then it's bringing that down, and so you're seeing kind of the repercussions of that. So you're getting the illegal accounts that are accepting everything. You're
Yeah,
getting the desperate drivers who's accepting everything.
yeah,
You're getting the driver who works a night, maybe for whatever reason, for some extra money, extra bill, whatever it might be. But they're driving, once or twice a day, or I mean, once or twice a week, or maybe every other week, every month or something, and they're just accepting whatever's coming through. So that can offset a lot. And I think that's kind of the same thing when you're looking at the competition between these two companies is you have a company that's much smaller and they've been locked in a price war since 2013. So it's not been changed in, the 11 years that they've been, competing against each other really. And that I think is part of the problem. So that's one way I think we got to look at it too, is where they're kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. And I'm not trying to give them, the out on that. They got to be a little bit harder. They got to be a little bit better when it comes to that. But put it in perspective. That's I think kind of how we got to look at it too. Is we're getting shitty offers as well because we have these people who are still accepting these low paying offers, and then it's feeding the algorithm saying, oh yeah, there's drivers out there that will take it, and playing that game.
yeah. No, I think you're 100% right. So I told you, but I'm gonna tell the crowd now. Business Insider actually is going to take on the illegal account situation up, which I think is good. Keep it in the media. So I got a bunch of A's, Chris. I think I did okay. But no, Jeremy will come back on. If he says he is. And I just didn't want to commingle everything in like 30 minutes because I think it's quite just unfair for both sides. And when he does come back on, we'll do like a little survey. What do you guys want us to talk about for half hour next on just deactivations, support, safety, whatever it is? And I know what they're working on within Lyft. I can't say anything about it, but a couple of different good, better things to come. Again, I don't think drivers' earnings are keeping pace with inflation. That's a given, right? And you know, that's going to be the topic. I mean, forever, right? It's just yeah, I mean, you know, do this as a on your way to plan B. Don't, this is not a career, you know. But as long as you guys are doing it, we're going to support you guys. And well, thank you, much appreciated. So let's move on, if you like, sir.
All right. Well, let's you know, we wanted to get him on because he had kind of a harder cutoff, even though we still went a little over with it. But either way,
5 minutes over, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, I'll get an email from Lyft now. We're never coming back again.
You know, we were giving you a 30-minute window, but you went 4 minutes and change over, just under the 5 minutes.
No,
So
we started at 3:04. We started at 3:04.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, if it's a 30-minute window from the time that you start, it's just under that 5-minute window, so we don't have to pay anymore.
Armenian time. It's like we're always late to parties. So Uber, I know you're watching this today for sure. See, this could have been Dara. What are you so afraid of? I mean, we would have shown you the same $3 screenshot from an Uber tip. What's the big deal? But you know, no. Okay, cool, no problem. We'll work with Lyft. We'll get Lyft better and kick your ass, Uber. How about that?
We got to prune the big tree a little bit so the little tree gets a little more sun and then grows a little bigger and then becomes the big tree in the block.
Oh, look. Okay, I showed your chart, Lelius. You're proud? Why are Armenian? Okay, it's
Because
first of all, you're
always take
missing an
great
N in
turns.
there, sir. Armenians always late when they end. Well, we're late, bro. We're habitually late people. Anyway,
That's
yeah,
'cause he takes so many right
Dara
turns.
is not scared. You know, he can handle me, I'm pretty sure. But you know, he doesn't like the hot seat. He likes doing these Bloomberg, CNBC. You know,
He likes the fluff pieces.
Softball, hit it out of the park kind of a thing. I'm like, that's not gonna work.
It's hard to come in the lion's den and leave with without your tail between your legs.
Yeah. Anyway, so cool. So we only have 2 topics today, people. We're gonna keep it short and sweet because this is something you guys have been like asking about for a week now. Of course, you guys made me go read that garbage, and then
well, it was only 5 pages. Come on,
bro. That's like,
you know what I did? I just copy and pasted the whole damn thing, and I put it in Chat GPT and said TLDR.
Of course you did.
That's all I did. TLDR, and it spit it out.
Okay, well, so anyway, so we're gonna.
No, I put TLDR in layman's terms, so I don't get all that mumbo jumbo speak.
What is TLDR? Too long? Didn't read? Is that what it is?
Yep.
Harry says that a lot to me. I send him a long email.
I know, that's the only reason why I'm saying it right now.
Read the fucking email.
Anyway, no, then when you send me those emails that are like 15 pages long, I'm like, I don't have time to read all this. So I just throw it in chat.
Somebody took time to write to us, man. Those heartfelt
I get
emails.
I get it.
I read all of them. What do you have?
I get it. When I'm reading,
I read all of them.
I get it. But when it's the frustrations, a lot of it is just trying to get it out. And so a lot of it is like, let's say you're editing a video. You have a video that's maybe 2 hours long and you're getting it down to 10 minutes. So all the extra fluff that you got to get out is what you got to get out.
Yeah. I read the whole thing. It says 5 pages of reading. Totally.
It is. But the thing is, I'm looking for more of the meat and the substance of it. I'm not looking for the fat and the pork. You know, I want the actual. My time is valuable, and I need to do things that are going to be productive towards that. So
I
understand a lot of people. No, I understand a lot of people have to get their frustrations out, and it's a great way for a lot of people is to write out, you know, vent, and that's really what it is. But I want the meat and the potatoes because it's easier for me to be able to understand the person's problem. All the extra stuff, I get it, I feel it, I understand it, but I don't need to read it. And so that's why having something like ChatGPT, being able to break it down, it gets right to the meat potatoes versus, you know, all the other fluff. So you're still getting the same ability and the same response. Paul, thank you for the super chat. Also, before Dr. C, thank you for the super chat if you're still here during the interview. It's kind of hard to bring those up because we're, you know, trying to stay on par there.
Anyway,
and then Go Giga with it. Thank you for becoming a member for 11 months. Awesome.
So so this TOS thing that they pushed, right? So did you put the links into the thing, into the chat?
Yes. We don't worry, we have all that. So
Okay.
first we're going to
So I
go over
know,
the TOS breakdown,
you
and
know how
then
many?
we're going to talk about the opting out.
Yeah.
All the opt-out information will be in the description as well too,
Yeah,
and
please.
you will be able to figure that. So let's break this down
Okay,
first.
so I read the 5 pages. I mean, the most important part is in the second paragraph where it says driver affairs. However, please, before you put it in the chat, a lot of emails ask me, how do I opt out? All of it, the links, all you have to do is click on the link and then it'll just walk you right through. So it's in the show notes. Show notes meaning just go down when you're done with the show watching. Go click on more. It'll say more, and there'll be links there for you how to opt out, but we're going to show it to you anyway. So I had done an article like a year and a half ago because they changed the name to PAA. I called it alphabet soup. PAA is for Platform Access Agreement. They're constantly changing. FYI, people, I have a very, very distinct feeling that this came after. Now you will have to opt out after David Seligman was on 2 weeks ago, and that video got like almost 10,000 views so far. And it's a long video; it's like a 30-minute video. It was his interview video. Okay, David Seligman, who was in the More Perfect Union video, who talked about vertical price fixing, algorithmic discrimination, all that good stuff for half an hour to you guys. This thing, Chris, showed up literally less than a week after that interview. Okay. And so Uber says, I honestly, I think Uber is in a pickle here because they're trying to squirm somewhere. First of all, the most important part of this is where it says driver fares and gratuity. Uber enables you through the driver app to charge your ride. Okay, by the way, during that interview, I told David, I said, by the way, doesn't Uber say that the drivers are Uber's customer, the customer is driver's customer, or the rider is the driver's customer? He goes, yeah. Okay, so now Uber enables you through the driver app to change your riders, meaning charge riders a driver fare for each ride. Is that true, Chris? Can you charge a rider a fare?
I have not seen one where I'm able to charge it my fare that I want.
Well, it says the driver fare may be calculated using base amount and amounts that are based on the estimated or actual distance and or time of the ride. The driver fare may include additional fees or a portion thereof paid by a rider, such as a fee based on certain trip attributes, and the adjusted base marketplace factors such as supply and demand, which is about surge. Additionally, the driver fare does not include fees payable by riders directly to Uber. Those are the external fees or direct fees, as applicable, and does not include certain taxes and fees. Okay. On certain trips, when you receive a ride request, our platform may display a pre-trip driver fare. You accept this pre-trip driver fare by accepting the ride request. The pre-trip driver fare may be adjusted in certain circumstances, including, but not limited to, the mileage or duration of the trip, if the mileage and duration of the trip deviates from the estimated mileage or duration that was used to calculate the pre-trip driver. Uber, there is no rate card. There is no time and distance. What the F are you talking about? Are these people being serious here? Who wrote this? Like a third grade or like a law intern? Who wrote this garbage? First of all, we do not name the price of the trip, Uber. So this is, and I'm going to show you guys what I sent this to David. David read it. He goes, holy shit, really? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So, and the other thing is, there is no time and distance. There's no rate card, Uber. What are you talking about? Or unless you're giving away that the algorithm is based on time and distance, not all the 70 things, hocus pocus things that you tell us constantly. Oh, there's like 80 different things in there. Maybe it's not as complicated, Chris. Different than the toll surcharges, blah, blah, blah. The driver fare is a recommended amount. You shall always have the right to charge a driver fare that is less than the pre-trip driver fare. What are they talking
What about
about?
more?
What are they
Why not
talking about? I
more?
know, but what are they even talking about? They're talking about me negotiating the fare down with my rider. Is this happening anywhere, people? Is this? No, Tony was drunk with Kamala. That's when he wrote this. Is this really applicable to any Uber driver in the country at the moment? Can we set our own fare? Can we adjust the fare? Screw up, down. Can we do any of this? Uber, what is this? This did nothing but put me in trouble because I got 500 emails saying, Serge, there is a new addendum. I'm like, I read it. I read it again. This does not make any sense. This doesn't even sound like rideshare to me, but whatever. It says, the pre-trip driver fare negotiate at your request. Are you serious, Uber? A driver fare that is lower than the pre-trip driver fare, lower. We can only lower it because that avoids vertical price fixing. We can't go higher, but we go lower. Okay. A negotiated driver fare. Absent a request for a negotiated driver fare, the driver fare recommended by Uber shall be the amount. So on the next trip, Uber, upfront, I'm going to take it. Then the rider is going to walk in my car. I'm going to say, my good morning, sir or madam. Good evening. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to present this. I go, look, Uber is allowing me to negotiate this fare with you once you get in my car, because this is the latest terms of service I have from my boss, Uber. So this trip, instead of $7 for 18 miles, is going to cost you $23 for 18 miles. What do you think will happen to me, Chris, if I did that? Negotiated a price with the rider after they get in my car.
Good luck.
That's a good one. Okay, so there you go. This is the biggest bull crap I have ever seen. Wasted my hours reading it twice. Yes, please do, Lelius. I'm going to hand out coupons.
Would you like my ChatGPT breakdown?
Yes, let's go.
All right. So I copied and pasted the whole thing into it, and I said, put this in layman's terms. So it says, in simple terms, this agreement says who you're dealing with. You, as a driver, have entered into a contract with Uber or its regional entities, depending on where you're driving. Example, Uber Technologies in California, Razor PA in Pennsylvania. What you're agreeing to, this document is an add-on to your main contract with Uber, specifically covering how fares and payments work. By accepting, you agree to the updated terms. If you don't, the previous terms stay in place, but they don't allow you not to opt in. Either way, opt out. 3, driver fares. The fare you charge riders is suggested by Uber and can include things like wait time fees, distance, and trip duration. This suggested fare can change based on demand or other factors. You can also choose to charge less if you want. Pre-trip fare estimates. Sometimes Uber will show you an estimated fare before the trip. This estimate can be adjusted if things change during the ride, like if the ride takes longer or toll is different. Gratuity and tips. Riders can tip you if they want, but it's not guaranteed. Uber won't take a cut of your tips. Your earnings include the fare, any tips, tolls, taxes, and other fees you're entitled to. Uber will deduct its service fee before paying you. Uber service fee. Uber charges you a service fee for using its platform. The amount you pay to Uber is based on what's left after the fare, tips, tolls, and other applicable fees. Shared rides. For rides where you pick up multiple passengers, like UberX Share, Uber charges you a separate service fee for each rider. Uber as your agent. Uber handles payments on your behalf and will pay you at least once a week. You agree that Uber can charge the rider and the recommended fare as your agent. Disputes and adjustments. If you think there's been error in your payment, you can contact Uber to fix it, but you need to report it quickly. Taxes, you're responsible for paying taxes on your income, but Uber might collect certain taxes from the fare and send them directly to tax authorities if needed.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the entire breakdown from.
So Lelius actually ran it, like compared the old addendum, which from 2022 to TOS to this one. He sent it to me. It was too long. But maybe next week, we'll put that up. It's a really good comparison, actually, between, the ChatGPT did a good comparison. But I want to end this with this paragraph. So whatever crack you guys are smoking up there, or whoever law firm you wrote this keep smoking. It ain't happening. In the event of a ride where the driver fare is greater than the rider fare, excluding gratuity, direct fees, applicable estimated taxes, tolls and surcharges, fees retained by us, and other payments to you included per trip receipt, no service fee will be charged. Those are the ones that Uber takes a loss, right? So it says, in consideration for using shared ride options, blah, blah, blah. So my point in all of this is, if you guys can, seriously, I'm in LA, I got this is mine, but I got this from all over the country, from multiple cities, right? And they're all go like, what is this? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just gonna look at it. And obviously I had to sign it before I could log on, right? That's another pain in the butt situation. And long story short, I was like kind of flabbergasted with that it will clearly, right here, first paragraph, where it says driver fares and gratuity, Uber enables us, the drivers, through the driver app to charge your riders a driver fare for each ride. Just that sentence right there. Uber, we don't charge anybody shit. You decide. It's a two-sided marketplace. You decide the rider fare, you decide the driver fare. You decide what you're going to charge them, and you decide what you're going to pay us. This is the biggest hocus pocus I have ever seen. So everybody take multiple shots on this one. And we're going to continue with this. And then I want to finish with, okay, this is the opt-out information. The links are below. You have to, there is one that's really, really good by Drivers United. Seriously, all you have to do is put your name and then it automatically send it out to you. Another one is opt-out-portier@uber.com. And you have to fill out an email. It's going to be your name, your phone associated with your Uber account, your email address associated with the Uber account, your actual address, and your signature, and email that as well. So if you do it both times in both places, one of them will get there. Because Uber has a tendency of losing your opt-out agreement, okay? There'll be a class action. You go like, I should be part of the class. And it goes like, Uber, you never sent us an opt-out. So do it. That's that. So then I sent it to David, who was on the show, David Seligman. He's an attorney. So he goes like, thanks, Sergio. This is so weird. They're clearly trying to deal with the vertical price fixing, but I have no idea how this actually works in practice. David, it doesn't work. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist to work. And without knowing that, it's hard to say if it does anything to change the legal analysis. Have you heard from drivers that this negotiated fare is and how it works? Was this to everyone as far as I know? As far as I know, yeah, it was to everyone. I got multiples of them. So David goes, I don't think it's going to change the legality, but he was like flabbergasted himself. He goes like, how's this going to change vertical price fixing? I talked to him in person. He goes, maybe it's because they're telling you that you can only lower the fare, but not increase the fare when you're negotiating with your rider. In what world? Anyway, Uber, stop smoking crack, man. It's just not good, just stop it. But anyway, so this is what's happening. So you guys have the 411 on this. There you go.
Yep. So that's the fair addendum when it comes down to it.
There you go.
But yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And I just want the little button that says agree or disagree so I can hit disagree. Why does it have to be jumping through hoops, running through fire, and everything else just to, figure this stuff out? So it's a pain in the ass, but we'll make sure we break it down.
Well, yeah, we did break it down, but I'm really flabbergasted who wrote this and pushed it out.
There you go. DeVoe's got the answer.
ChatGPT will do a better job. ChatGPT will definitely do a better job. This was whoever wrote that. They watched the show. I know they watch the show every goddamn time. They have like a department, they watch, they take screenshots and shit. They go, oh, look at this. You should look into this. I'm like, whatever. Long story short, They watch and then they go, oh, the guy said vertical price fixing. The guy said 3-letter agency. Oh, we can't have that. Let's just send it in. I'm like, bro, this doesn't even make sense. I mean, can you guys do this? Can you guys negotiate with your writers? I don't think so.
You know, the only time I remember being able to negotiate would be during Prop 22 AB5 debacle in California, where California drivers could raise the rates up to 5x of what the standard fare would have been, and down, I think, to 0.8 or something. So you could go lower, but you also could go 5 times higher. So if a $5 ride, you could make $25 on that $5 ride.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this was like I've seen plenty addendums in my time in 8 years. This was the one that was like shocking to me. I go like, really? I can negotiate my fare? Since when?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I didn't know that. I'd like to know.
And then the rider will complain, I'll get deactivated now. Because like, what is your driver was negotiating the fare with me. I thought it was set. I thought it was like upfront. I'm like, yeah, but look, Uber says I can negotiate with you. Yeah, Uber.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, let's talk about it. Anyway. So
but Sergio, you're already taking a $3 fare or a $2.62 fare. That seems like the passenger paid just too much. So why don't you negotiate it down to an even $1.50?
Yeah, I think so. give the rider a break. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
God damn. All right. Well,
yeah. Anyway, so opt out is in the show notes. Please go check it out. Please don't send me emails anymore about this, about how to opt out, how to do this. Just it's there. Everything is there. Yep. The only thing you have to do is fill it out. That's all you have to do.
All right. With that being said, one thing I do want to make note, remember, it is Amazon Prime. For the next couple of days, there are some great deals on dash cameras, something you definitely need to have. If you're putting it off for whatever reason, this is the time to get it, because, you know, some dash cameras, whether it's Vantrue, whether it's VFO, whatever it might be, some are, you know, $100, $120 off their normal price. So this is definitely a time to get them, especially maybe some of the nicer ones or the 3 or 4 channel ones that are out there. Definitely recommended. Put a couple in the links in the description below so you can get them. But one of the biggest things that we see when it comes to drivers getting deactivated, sending emails this way, is Sergio always asks, first question, do you have a dash camera? 99 out of 100 say, nope, no dash camera. Well, you know what? We got to change that. So let's get it up to 99 out of 100 having a dash camera. And over the next couple of days, make sure you do. And if you want something that's more cloud-based, we always recommend Display Ride, where you can get that as well. If you put in code RSG, you can get it down to as low as $10 a month. So that will help you out there. And it's cloud-based. Everything's done within the cloud itself. So check that out. Again, just make sure you have a dash camera. This time you need one, even if you aren't driving Uber and Lyft and you're offline. You should still have one in your car, because who knows how some of these people are driving out there on some of the roads. So it's just good and smart practice to have it recording all of the time, and especially when you have passengers in your car.
You know, these companies complain about commercial insurance and stuff, right? They should like pay for dash cams for drivers. Yeah, I mean, I mean, what's the big deal? If it's going to save you on commercial insurance, you make, you know, help your margin.
That would,
you know,
I think that would be one of the smartest things to do. Why I don't know. I mean, they have these telematics in your phone, but it's not always accurate. It doesn't show what actually is going on.
That thing doesn't work.
Your phone, I mean, like all of a sudden your phone jerks like this. Well, what happens if a deer ran out in the road? What happens if somebody, you know, what happens if a Waymo pulls out right in front of you, like we've seen, and you got a hard stop or something like that? So the phone telematics don't always give the true picture of what is happening, but a dash camera will, whether it's forward facing and interior facing, or even, you know, if you had a third channel, which is rear facing, it's going to show you every angle that it can. So it gives you a better picture and understanding. So the telematics that are in the phone can actually like trigger a safety point, and then they could check the dash camera and say, oh yeah, that was a deer ran out in the road, or a Waymo went unicorn AWOL or something like that. And then that way it would actually help to, clear that driver or clear that problem. Maybe it was the other person who, if you got into an accident, was the cause of that. They ran a red light, they ran a stop sign, whatever it might be. There's a lot of different things out there. And, the telematics in the phone don't give a accurate picture in any way, unlike a dash camera, which actually shows you what is happening. It's not biased. It doesn't have any problems like that. So
I have a
that's one.
display. I had a display right for 18 months. I cannot speak highly of it, not because we recommend it, but first of all, it works. Number two, at the end of every shift, you will get a downloadable link of all your trips for that day, for that shift. Okay, number one. Number two, it'll send you all your telematics data. So when Lyft or Uber sends you your driving score tanked because the phone was not on a holder or some other garbage, or you're going too fast, Playwright gives you that data as well. So I'm not like, this is a no-brainer. I mean, plus, forget doing rideshare, bro. You're driving your kids somewhere. The other day, it happened right in front of me. We're having dinner at an outside restaurant, Chris, at a busy location. One guy is going north to south, speeding like nobody's business, and this other jackass happened to make a left right in front of him, bro. It blew like T-bone. The sound of that, I'm still like in my ear.
Oh, I can imagine
and
the
I'm
crunch.
going like, oh my God. And I could clearly see the one that was going fast tried to punch the light. He did it on a red. So you have a dash cam, or the other guy have a dash cam, case closed. You know what I mean? It's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then they both, one came out, the other one couldn't come out. All the airbags went off in the car. Older guy, the one that T-boned the other guy. And I'm going like, are you okay, sir? You want me to call the paramedics? He couldn't even talk. And anyway, we'll call the paramedics, long story short. But just for your own driving, there's crazies out there like that. You need a dash cam, man, for your own safety. Forget about rideshare. Rideshare is a no-brainer.
So the car I do ride share in, my Pilot, has a dash camera, but also the Evo has a dash camera. And that's just because you don't know who's driving out there. And, sometimes across on the street here, you'll have bikes going, it's a 40 mile an hour, but they'll be going 60, 70, 80 miles an hour sometimes, especially more at night. So it's just smart practice to have something. And again, because it's Amazon Prime, there's great deals going on. So if you've been putting it off for whatever reason, just get one. Take the plunge, get it. It's tax write-off.
How long does DisplayRite keep the video? DisplayRite automatically keeps the video for 2 weeks, 15 days. However, if you select a chip at the end of your shift, it can keep it up to a year. Like if you're kind of thinking things kind of went sideways, you want to put it aside, keep it for a year, because 2 weeks later the rider could complain about it, you get deactivated. You at least have the proof. So automatically 15 days, but up to a year possibly once you select the chips that you want to select.
Oh, there you go. You got the body cam too.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing deliveries, you should definitely have a body cam. I mean,
absolutely.
Shit, man. So talk about deliveries, Chris. I took one for the team 2 weeks, bro. I was about to lose my shit.
Why?
Seriously.
What happened?
Why? What happened? I figured all these gig companies, this is my next project. All these gig companies, Chris, I'm not going to say money laundering, okay? Because I don't think it's money laundering. That's like too big of an offense. But I think money floating. With all these so I'm in California. I have something deplorable called Proposition 22. But now Minnesota is going to have it as of December 15th. Boston already has Prop 32. New York already has it. This is their playbook. They're just going to pass these propositions. So what did they do with Proposition 22 in California? This is what they do. So I said, I'm going to go take one for the team, do 2 weeks of deliveries, 2 weeks. So I did 2 weeks of deliveries. Bro, I'm doing $3 chips, bro. $3, bro. 3. Okay, 5 miles for $4. That's the base pay. So I know Prop 22 is going to pay me more, but I have to wait 2 weeks for my money. My money being returned to me 2 weeks later without interest. And then I'm thinking, okay, there's 1 million+ gig workers in California. So this is not an Uber issue, but I did Uber Eats. This is DoorDash. This is Lyft. This is Uber Rideshare. This is Uber Eats. This is Instacart. This is Walmart Spark. It's Target Shipped. all these gig companies in California that operate with independent contractor drivers, not only they charge the rider a fee, they collect that, but they underpay, the algorithm underpays or undercuts the base fare by literally at least 50 to 60%. So you don't do it, don't do it, they go. But if you do it 2 weeks after you finish your time or finish your weeks, we will send you your money back while we're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars and floating it in a 4 to 4.5% T-bill rates. People, wake up, people. Wake up. Yeah, exactly. Go gig it. I'm lending him money. My broke ass is lending the rideshare companies, delivery companies, the money interest-free while they're taking the interest at 4 to 4.5% T-bill rates. So here's the go. This is what we did. I honestly did. So I tweeted it out. All these deliveries, Prop 22 will come into play. Here's the math, assuming the ping. There is more on this on the tweet, but so I'm on Twitter. Chris is on Twitter. Please go follow us. So this is my 2 weeks, September 16th to 23rd and September 23rd to September 30th. Okay. So I only worked 2 days on that week, but then the other week I worked as much as I could because I have other shit to do. Right. Okay. Chris, I was online for 9 hours. I pretty much took everything because the frequency of orders has collapsed. I don't know if it's the legal accounts and whatever not. I only did 10 trips. I wasn't cherry picking, bro. I was
Beautiful,
just
33% utilization rate there.
that week. Yeah, exactly. So 9 hours online, 3 hours active. Okay. Then I was online 33 hours almost, and I was active less than 10, 9.5 hours, and I did 36 deliveries. So the 326, by the way, is including tips. Thank God to generous people who tip. The only thing I was not doing is I was declining trips that I thought did not have a tip. Like it would come in at $2.10 for 5 miles. I'm like, no, that has no tip. But if it came in $4 at, or $5 at 5 miles, I'm like, yeah, they're going to pay me $3. So there's like a $2 tip in there. So long story short, my net fare, this is the base fare that I received from Uber for those 2 weeks. First week was $37.94. The next week was $134.62. The rest is all tips. Again, generous tippers in my neighborhood. Thank God. So then, now the waiting game begins. Now I wait 2 weeks. 2. Okay? Then Uber goes, look at this, Sergio. We're going to send you your money back after we grab interest on it for 2 weeks. I'm like, what kind of bullshit is this? This is called Proposition 22. So when these types of propositions like Boston Prop 32, Minnesota Prop 15, New York Prop 26, they're all coming around to you guys and like, oh, this is the guarantee minimum. Do not buy it. Go tell your people, the legislators, this is bullshit. So anyway, Uber sat on my $136.73 for 2 weeks because the guaranteed minimum, by the way, the minimums that they said, Chris, has become the ceiling. So they price every trip 50%, and then they give me my money back 2 weeks later after they floated for 2 weeks. Why don't you just fucking price? First of all, why don't you give me my money the end of the day? Why am I waiting 2 weeks for my own money? Number one.
Sounds like a little racket there.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2, I'm lending you interest-free money for 2 weeks. Why am I waiting 2 weeks? Why can't you do it weekly? Okay. But besides that, why don't you just pay me right on the spot? Why are you pricing these trips, these deliveries at 50%, 40% of what they should be? Because you're going to give me my money back anyway. Just fucking price it right. Let's not play the game. No.
Well, you answered the question already, because then they can charge the interest and you're giving them a nice little free loan there.
Chris, this is hundreds of millions of dollars, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
This is just me working nothing. Like in 2 weeks, how many hours did I work? 32.5 plus 9. Okay, 42 hours online. Total work was like 12. So they're running at like 28, 30% utilization rate. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so that's what it is. There's no orders. What am I supposed to do? And so anyway, but I was being productive doing my shit out there. Long story short, have my money, and then they return it back to me saying, thanks for the interest-free loan, Serge. 2 weeks later.
Wait, hold on. Didn't they say that they will they will pay you once a week in their driver pay addendum?
No.
So
where
doesn't
does it say
that now have to go to once a week?
No, it didn't say that. This is for Prop 22. No, it didn't say that. But look at this, Chris. Do you see the week that I worked the 32 hours online and 9.5 active, right? Do you see that amount? $134.62, right? Right?
Yep.
And 2 weeks later, they pay me $136.73. That's almost exactly the amount. That's why I'm saying they're pricing everything at 50%, holding my money for 2 weeks, and then returning me to me like 2 weeks later. What is happening here? Is this in the law? Pablo, are you here? Is this in the fucking law? This is bullshit.
No. This is what we like to call a loophole.
What loop? My hole? This is, bro. This is garbage. So literally it's the same amount. I just noticed that actually. 134.62 net fare for that week. 136.73 is what I got 2 weeks later. So take my 136.73. I'm sure there are people who work 60, 70, 80 hours, right? Their numbers are going to be a lot higher. And figure that out times, I don't know, million drivers, million couriers combined between all these apps in California, right? That's a lot of money. So I want to get my money. I want to get it now, you know? Yeah, that's not the point, Lelius.
JG Wentworth, JG Wentworth. It's my money and I want it now.
I want it now. Yeah, that's not the point, Lelius. We're not talking about a minimum. We're talking about them pricing trips. Okay, if you get a delivery 5 miles for $4 and you do it, and you know with Prop 22, 120% of minimum wage plus 35 cents a mile it should be priced at 8. Why are they sending it to you at 4? Holding to your 4 and sending it back to you 2 weeks later. That's exactly what's happening.
Yep. Well, I think the other thing is, are there any drivers in California that are doing delivery only that are actually making above the earnings guarantee?
Not on deliveries. It's impossible.
That's
not possible.
That's why I posed that question out there.
No,
because it's
possible.
probably
Not
very few and far between.
Rideshare, definitely. Deliveries, no. No, deliveries are no. But if you look at these stats, though, so you take the 136, Chris, right? So you take the 326, 136, 326 is what? 455, let's say. Put another 100, 555, right? So with the Prop 22 adjustment, $550 in 41 hours online time. That's about $12 an hour before expenses. And then my active time was like $40 an hour, somewhere in that range, right? On 12.5 hours, 555, right about there. Okay. But for all those trips, I did 36 in 1 week and 10. So 46 trips. My active miles were only 156.9, 157 miles I drove. And the way I deliver is like I have my triangulation correct, and then I don't drive too much. I don't have almost no dead miles, maybe a mile or two after I drop it off. But long story short, you drive less with deliveries. And, you know, for whatever it is, I'm picking up food, dropping off food, it's not bad, $40 an active hour. But my point is, this is the next investigation. How many millions are being floated for 2 weeks? How many millions? How many hundreds of millions of dollars? I want my money back. There you go.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're looking at you just did the couple of states. You know, you got all the states except for Seattle and Washington that have a different law, but California, Minneapolis, New York, Pennsylvania, or not Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, they're all operating under this exact same thing.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's where we are. And if you're gonna do deliveries, you know, bite your teeth and accept those $4 5-mile orders, fully well knowing that you're going to get your, you know. So the trick on these, Chris, is what I do is like I don't look at the base fare because I know I'm going to get double of it like in 2 weeks, right? But then I like look at the tip. Like there are some really generous people out there who tip me nicely, because 134 was the base, 326. So my tip to net fare ratio was like almost 1.8 to 1, which is good. I like to keep it around 2 to 1. But so
Mhm.
yeah, so Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart, Grubhub,
You know
all
what
of
you
you,
need to get? You
all
got to
of you,
get a
give me my
bike.
money now. Don't make me wait 2 weeks. You're rich enough.
You got
I
to get
don't
a
need
bike.
to lend you 0 interest loans. I'm not the Federal Reserve. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think you got to get a bike. If you're only doing
E-bike?
156 miles for that, get an
E-bike?
e-bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of the trips are like long, bro, like 6 miles, 5 miles. The food
Yeah.
will never get there.
That's what are you talking about? Some of these e-bikes can hit 30 mile an hour.
No, I ain't doing it at this age. If I break some shit or just somebody hits me, I'm a dead man. I'm too valuable to do this shit. It's like,
True. True.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm gonna investigate this. Actually, I sent this to Uber. I go, why are we waiting 2 weeks, by the way? Like, who wrote that? Like, whose law is that? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
And of
I think
course,
it's
there's
a
still tip baiting.
loophole.
I got tip baited once out of those for 46 deliveries
Bastards.
because Uber allows the consumer to get the food, eat the food, shit the food out, and then take the tip out.
Bastards.
You have 1 hour to take the tip out. No other company, by the way, does that. And Dara Khosrowshahi got tip baited last year when he was doing the PR stunt for the Wall Street Journal. He got tip baited. There's still tip baiting happening on Uber. There's still 1 hour they give the consumer to take the tip out.
Well,
What
as we
world?
said, I think it was last week or the week before, if you put a tip in, that's where it's locked. If you want to tip up more after the fact, that's different, but you cannot take it away.
DoorDash stopped it. DoorDash used to do it. DoorDash goes, if you put a tip in and the guy finishes the trip, delivers it, you can't mess with it. Uber goes, you have 1 hour to decide to lower it or to raise it. I had never been raised in my life. Lower, yes. Actually, that's a good point. They also float the money that you are and don't fast cash out. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe higher fast cash. Yeah, I mean, that's not as dependable as this thing. This is 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time, bro. 2 weeks a long
Well, I mean,
time.
A lot of places pay you as an employee every Friday or, every other week. So they're basically floating that money for the time being anyways. So
Yeah, but this is this is on top of Chris. This is on top of. So what they're doing is they're charging the consumer a lot for the deliveries because I went on the website and I looked at what the actual delivery fees were. Right, Uber was making hand over fist on the service fees. Okay, so they're paying, like the customer would pay 12, Uber would pay me 4, but they should be paying me 8, and then they would hold on to the 4 for 2 weeks on each trip, and then give me my money back. I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
well, they made like $5 floating your money for that time.
Well, multiply that times millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people. So yeah. Look at this, Chris. You have a fan.
Oh, well, thank you. All right. Well, let's move on though, and we'll talk about Uber's announcement. They came out swinging a little bit in London as well today, and that was their Go Get Zero, which is their EV side of things. And it might be hard for people to read who are watching, but there was a few things that they had announced. So for the consumer side, they have all electric Uber Green. So now if you choose Uber Green, it's going to be EV only in 40 plus cities globally. There's EV preference. So love the EV experience, but not occasionally the longer ETA. So they're not allowing new feature to set the preference in the app and get matched with an EV anytime one is nearby. There's EV pop-ups. So get ready to ride electric in style, kicking off a series of premium EV pop-ups so riders can experience the most innovative EVs on Uber. There's emission savings update. So their emission savings feature helps you green our options, climate collection, farmers markets, and eats. So there's a few things there for drivers. There's AI assistant. So you can use the app to be able to find out what's going on when it comes to EVs and questions of that. EV mentors. So I don't sure, but you can talk to a live person, EV owner, Now, what's kind of cool is the EV mentor actually gets paid for this. So if you want to be an EV mentor, I don't know how much it is, but hey, maybe it's a little extra
The mentor.
or a thought. Yep. And then free Octopus chargers. So in a first of its kind partnership, Octopus Energy will co-fund 1,000 free home chargers for UK drivers, and then for merchants and stuff. So kind of a big nothing burger in my opinion when it comes to it,
Completely.
because there's not much there. And the reality is they have not convinced me in one way, shape, or form to switch from what I currently drive to try to even think about getting an EV. So to me, this is just trying to appease their ESG score. And what the ESG, for those who don't know, is what energy or what is it again? Energy, I don't remember, but their ESG score. That's pretty much all it is. Even though, let's be real, Uber is one of the most pollutable companies in the entire world. Even though they don't have any
Environmental social governance.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Even though they are one of the most polluting industries in the world, because you have 6 million drivers on the platform globally. So you can just imagine how many people are on the platform that are driving ICE cars. And I mean, even EVs, hey, you got to get your electricity from somewhere. Where's that electricity coming from? Where's your rare earth minerals coming from? All these things do add up, but nobody wants to look at the full picture. They only want to look at what they want to look at so they can feel better about themselves. So yeah, to me, I think this was kind of a nothing burger. And I don't know. What do you think?
In today's world, the best thing is have a fully depreciated 8-year-old Prius to do rideshare with. Done. Nothing.
agree.
It doesn't deserve anything more than that. So anyway, so for next week, we're gonna not have topics. We're gonna have a wide open show. So we're gonna bring you guys on. We're gonna talk about. Remember, the Jeremy wasn't expecting that question. I go, what is the State of the Union? Because by the way, he did work for the Obama campaign, and he was also a political advisor to Obama. But what is the State of the Union? So, because we have all these drivers. Okay, so I was like, we put the video up, like 8,000 views already, whatever. I reading the comments, right? So I'm like, everybody's complaining. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I'm not making money. Bullshit, bullshit. I'm not making money. Bullshit, right? And I'm going like, why you guys keep doing it? So we should talk about that. We should talk about the State of the Union, I mean, it's kind of fitting right before the elections.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if there's any late breaking or anything that's, big news, we will definitely.
You bought an RSG T-shirt, not received. Why? This is a POD, bro. What is that called?
Yeah, they might. Yeah, when it comes to those are there's like a date range that they'll have, and it's within a certain date range. Once that closes out, then they will print all the shirts at the same time and then ship them. So you may have ordered it at the beginning of that new segment of time. I'm not quite sure, but you could probably look on the receipt and see exactly what that range is, or when the estimated ship time is, and then you'll be able to see if there's any issues or anything. Email them.
Yeah. So we're gonna finish in a minute. So Lyft, much appreciated. Couple of these things are decent actually. We've been really talking about it. I mean, you guys don't know, but we do talk a lot in the background. These things are okay things. Are they going to make you more money, a lot more? No. But I know for a fact, Chris, that I was receiving these really, really exorbitant paying trips out of LAX on long trips. And Lyft was testing that. And a lot of drivers were saying, Serge, don't talk about it because it's a glitch. You want to keep the glitch going. It's still going on. It wasn't a glitch. Lyft was testing that long pickup, the nature hikes ones, right? They were pricing it correctly and paying drivers a lot more. So they get accepted at LAX. So they are doing decent things. So people, I will say this again, but on the 23rd, if you want to come meet me at LAX, I'll be there 11:30 to 1:30. Jeremy is going to be there. So Jeremy, many thanks. Much appreciated. Jordan, for setting it up. Everybody at Lyft who knows me, thank you. Uber, get your shit together. Whoever wrote that, write another addendum before somebody sues your butt for that, because it doesn't even exist. I don't even know what you're doing there. So Uber actually has something good coming up. Right?
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
Can't talk about it.
well, then why'd you say something?
Well,
Now I get my hopes up.
something good.
I
I said the same thing about Lyft
something.
before lifting came out. I knew about lifting like a week before. Like I'm
Well,
bound by
I knew about the lifting too, but
I'm bound by secrecy, sir. Because if I do blurt it out,
sometimes
although
it pays to be on this side of the camera.
they're so bad at it, Chris, that they release it to the wild anyway, and then some driver sends me the screenshot, and then I go, look at this. I'm like, yeah,
Well,
you know,
yeah, that's what that's what we were talking about on the phone yesterday. So, you know, we saw what the beginning of this May, June timeframe when we were starting to report on like them showing the hourly rate or the pay per mile or something like that. You know, we saw a couple other things, so we were talking about it, and now it's being rolled out. So next year, when we
they
start
are
seeing a
listening.
couple of these things, we can say, okay, well, this is a test that they're testing out, and it's probably going to be rolled out if it's successful in, you know, the October timeframe when they do their next announcement next year.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, man, it's a tough business to be in. Rideshare is a tough business to be in. The only people happy about rideshare business are obviously Uber shareholders, not so much Lyft shareholders, although Lyft employees who do get their stock options. The riders are happy because the fares have gone up, but not to the point that it's completely killed the marketplace with elasticity. The only one that are taking it is the driver. I mean, seriously, you know, that's the only one. Because rideshare works for everyone except the driver. The pay is really, really horrible at the moment, and I can't drive for base rates in LA. I just can't. Not only make myself to do it, it's a loss. It's not a loss. After expenses, I'll be like $15. You know, I can't work for Prop 22. I can do it on deliveries maybe, because for 2 weeks I delivered. I only drove 150 miles. If I do rideshare, imagine if I did rideshare 46 trips on rideshare. I would have driven God knows how many
300 miles.
Yeah, it'd be like double the miles. So anyway, but yeah, we should do that. State of the Union next week. You all come on and
like
we take shots.
Yep. So plan on that. If you guys want to talk about something in particular, make sure you are there. And then the only thing is, if there's any late breaking news or anything like that, or something crazy that happens over the next week, which very well could, we'll cover that at the beginning part of the show.
Well,
And
yeah.
then once we get through that, we'll bring a bunch of people on.
How do you know
And
that?
then,
I don't even know that. How do you know where the pickup is? I mean, where the Lyft meeting is going to be? It's not going to be there. Don't give misinformation, bro. I don't know. I don't even know where it's at. I mean, I know it's at LAX, but I don't even know where it's at. But anyway, so I'll find out and we'll tell you guys.
Dr. C, thank you for the super chat. Go Gig It. Thank you for being a member for 11 months. Paul, thank you for the super chat as well. Deltanio, sorry if I butchered that. Thanks for the super sticker. Roxy, thank you for the super sticker. And James, thanks for the super chat as well.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Appreciate
hope you guys enjoyed the interview. There's going to be more. Hopefully, we didn't scare him too much that he won't come back. He understands the real issues. He really does. I talked to him quite a bit. And, you know, he's been only at the job, 6-7 months, like he said, at this new role as driver experience. So, you know, David, left at the altar, David. I mean, I ain't that ugly. What's happening? Yeah, I mean, come on now.
Pretty woman.
But now we got Jeremy. But Jeremy actually was the one in all the articles quoted, right? It used to be David or somebody else. Now it's Jeremy. So Jeremy's going to be the face of the driver experience. And Jeremy, thanks. Thumbs up. Much love. We'll see you guys.
All right. Have a good rest of your night, everybody. Be safe. Go out there and make some money. We'll see you guys next week, along with what your thoughts are.